President Trump is calling for a review of Smithsonian museums. The president said the exhibits need to better reflect the successes of America. But as Alan Devlin reports, museum supporters say celebrating the present isn't possible if we ignore our nation's past.
President Donald Trump continued to take aim at Smithsonian museums Tuesday with a post on Truth Social reading in part, "The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future." He added that the museums are woke. Tuesday's post comes a week after the White House released a memo to the Smithsonian Museum calling for a review of its exhibitions and materials to better fit Trump's directive to, quote, celebrate American exceptionalism. The museums mentioned by name include the National Museum of American History, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and the National Museum of the American Indian.
We want the museums to treat our country fairly. We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner.
I don't think we're spending too much time at all focusing on the things that got us to where we are today.
One of the Smithsonian museums potentially impacted by the White House's review, the National Museum of the American Indian in Lower Manhattan, where visitors we spoke with Tuesday disagree with Trump's comments on the divisiveness of the museum's exhibits.
I just came out of this museum and what I saw was an accurate history. I saw a celebration of art, of culture, and yes, like obviously bad things did happen to Native Americans here in New York and across the country. So how can we move forward if we're asleep at the wheel?
Artistic director of the ASP Arts Collective, formerly known as the American Slavery Project, Judy Tate, added that acknowledging and learning from the darkness of the past is how you make America great.
This idea that acknowledging history isn't a positive, wonderful, incredible thing, and that it doesn't make this country great, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for people who feel that way.
But a former Trump White House communication director said the Presidential Portrait Gallery is in part what is leading to Trump's desire to conduct a review.
There's been partisanship at the Smithsonian for a long time now.
And President Trump is also calling for each of the Smithsonian museums to submit their detailed plans for celebrating America's 250th birthday, what the White House calls the most important milestone in our nation's history. Alan Devlin, CBS News, New York.